Okay, so we've just been to the V&A to look at Ethiopia Day, and it was all around the Magdala treasures. I started a petition some time ago to return the treasures. The Paris Peace Forum is coming up. President Macron has prioritized returning back African treasures. I'm here with, is it Doctor?
No.
No? Oh, okay, just Alex. All right. Alexandra Herman, who's the Director of Art and Institute.
Assistant Director.
Assistant Director of Institute of Art and Law, and Sun Knight. Sorry.
Yes.
Sun Knight, who is an international development student. So, what is the position? Why is it not so easy to just return the treasures back to Ethiopia and Africa on the whole? Why is it such a big conversation?
Well, one of the things that makes it difficult in the UK is that the national institutions here, like the Victoria and Albert Museum just down the street, is that they have laws that forbid them from giving anything out of the collection. So even if they wanted to return the Magdala treasure to Ethiopia, there are laws that were passed by Parliament which basically say they're not allowed to. So that makes it very difficult. So they're stuck even if they voluntarily did want to return the Magdala treasure.
Well, Parliament makes laws like regularly. Like if you want free healthcare, there's a law for that. And so I feel like it's only a challenge because that's the excuse that they want to have for it. And it doesn't have to be a partisan issue. Like, you know, it can literally just be proposed in the houses and passed. And it's not like they're the first country or the first legislative body to do that, because like we see with France, like the president literally said that, and so that's back. And so that's the first step. But I feel like if the legislative process is the issue, it shouldn't be, because they can just pass laws when they want to.
But let's actually explore the complexity of this, because not all the treasures were looted, were they? No, some treasure. Talking on a whole in terms of African treasure, not everything was looted. Things were sold as well.
Right.
So let's say they do go back. One of the things that a lot of people are saying is, does Africa even have the capacity or the skills to be able to like welcome, take care of them and keep them there, and even extract the most out of them being there commercially? What do you think?
I feel like the question of, does Africa have like the ability and the skill to have these things? I would say yes, because you look at museums across the continent that have incredible collections, like Lucy, the first human, like the skeleton is literally in Ethiopia, and that's been preserved for a long time. And I feel like when you ask that question, it goes back to your Eurocentric view of what Africa is, and how, all of Africa is poor and, poverty ridden, and it's just like a third world country or like a continent. And I'm just like, if you look at these capitals and where these things are held, a lot of people hold them dear and near to their hearts. And if you return something that's dear to them and the country's people, then they're gonna do all that they can to take care of it.
Which is why I actually want to move on to the representation of them going back. For me, I think we need to move beyond the conversation of who owns this and who. I think we need to realize that Africa does need development, and Africa is youthful, and the arts, as we've seen, are such an economic driver. It's not just about having a museum in Africa, but think about all the other skills of the creative industry sectors that will be opened up from that.
Right.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think that's part of a larger project that would be a very good one. If centres in the UK and Europe and the West generally helped Africa and helped Ethiopia in specific ways, I think that could be part of a larger project. I don't know if restitution, meaning the return of these cultural objects, would on its own solve the problem. And sometimes people in Europe think, maybe even President Macron thinks this, we just return it and then we can have good trade relationships and that's the end of the problem. Actually, they need more of an engagement. So I think anything that can help countries in Europe and countries in the West engage with African countries, whether it's through a loan or sometimes restitution or an exchange of expertise and curatorial help, I think that can be really positive for both sides, actually.
And also being really culturally sensitive about it. It's not about just here you go, like you said.
Yeah. And I mean, there have been, I don't want to, these aren't sort of stories that you hear very often, but there have been cases where museums have returned things, not to Ethiopia, to other countries.
Yeah, like
And-
split them up and cut them into
Yeah,
pieces.
there have
which
been
is
problems with,
awesome.
and sometimes they've been stolen because the security wasn't that good in the place where they sent it back. So as long as we can ensure that they'll be looked after, as you said, and I'm sure they would be, then I think that the V&A and the British Parliament should be satisfied with it. Now, whether they would actually go so far as to pass an Act of Parliament is another story, because for an Act of Parliament you need over 300 MPs to agree that this is the right thing to do, and then that could easily get bogged down in a whole process. So if you want to give it back permanently from the V&A, it would be a long, drawn-out legislative process. What they're proposing now is a loan, so not giving it back forever, but giving it back temporarily, possibly on a renewal basis. So maybe it could go back for a couple of years to start, or maybe 5 years, and maybe that could be an open, renewable, ongoing thing. So
I think it's just easy to, again, morally be like, no, you can't lend me something that I already own.
Yep,
But
exactly.
at the same time, I have a legal kind of challenge. The same laws that restrict those treasures from being here, being so tight. One of my concerns is that, let's say the treasures go back. As you can see in Africa, we have our leaders trading our land. What's to stop somebody else selling them, or African leaders or people that are taking care of them selling it? Are there laws that when they go back that they cannot now just never be sold and left in Africa?
I don't know the laws for exactly in Ethiopia and what they are, but
Yeah.
I would imagine that they would have very strong laws. As you were saying, the skeleton of Lucy is probably one of the most important human discoveries of the last 150 years, has been very well looked after. Nobody's tried to sell it or get rid of it or has mistreated it. So there is a good track record. And I would think, I don't know for sure, but I would think that the laws would be very good in probably almost every African country for retaining cultural treasures within the country.
And just to add on to that, if something's mine, then I get to dictate what I want to do with it. And while I agree with you, like, we hope that they don't, sell them or do whatever with these art pieces, but once it's theirs, it's not like another country is selling it on their behalf. Like, you get what I'm saying? So I'm like, what they do with their things, at least they have the authority to do that because it's theirs. But I feel like that can't really be like the what if they sell it or whatever when the British are the people that took it in the first place, or like other countries. And so that's just my 2 cents.
So the British are saying we have the treasures here. It's important that, not all British, some, it's important that they stay in the museum for tourism, for the economy. I'm like, okay, but you also have an Ethiopian community here, like we saw, those amazing dancers, that are being underutilized. Ethiopia and Africa is not just about treasures, but behind these treasures is a spiritual, cultural, the rituals, the innovation behind them are not being invoked or awakened because of the relationship and how that they've been brought over here. So I feel like this is not just about having pieces here, but actually bringing to life the community, so then we can bring to life better ideologies and better ideas to be able to sustain overall humanity. Yeah, pretty much.
I agree.
Do you have anything to add to?
I don't know if there's anything that can be added to
Right.
that. It's pretty well
We've covered
said.
it all.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Sign the petition. Paris Peace Forum coming up. Excited to be there, and let's just keep talking about this. And I think we should call for a debate, a larger debate.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Bye.